Record.
So, I'm going to explain you the game. So, the rules of the game is that there are at least two players in the game. The cards that are needed are A, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the jack, the queen, and the king in clubs, hearts, diamonds, and spades. We start off with 10 cards to each player, and the first to go out by melding 11 cards. Melding is placing a valid combination of cards face on the table in front of you. Then the combinations that are allowed are a group of 3 or 4 cards of the same rank, and runs of from 3 to 8 cards of the same suite in consecutive order. So the ace is always the lowest, and the 7 is next to the jack. Another rule is that a card can never be part of more than one combination of the same time. And the last rule is that a sequence cannot contain more than 8 cards, so at least 2 combinations. So these were the rules of the game. Then now how it goes. So we start off. The player who has the turn, traditionally called the spoon, takes the top card of the stockpile and places it into his or her hand. Then the player must decide to melt the card if possible to create a run or a group or discard the card. The card that was picked up may not be kept for future use. It must be melted or discarded in the hand in which it is picked. So, and then step 3. No player may have more than 11 cards in their hand during the turn, and no player may have more than 10 cards in their hand when it's not their turn. That was step 3. Now we're going to step 4. Step 4 is the card is discarded onto a new pile next to the stockpile. Then the last step of the game is the other player can decide to take this card or take a new card from the stock. If the previously discarded card is not used, it must be turned face down on a waste pile and cannot be accessed by either player. Do you understand the game?
I have a question. The ace, can it be the highest score
No.
and the lowest?
No, it only can be the lowest card. Ace is always low.
Okay.
So now we are going to try to play it, and you can start, and I will look if it goes.
So how do we start again?
So the cards 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, not shake because it wasn't.
Not Joker. Okay.
Wait, give it to me. The 8, 9, 10 cannot play with this game.
The 8, the 9, and the 10.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
8. That's weird. Okay.
9.
What? What? Huh?
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joker. Do they have
No. And then 10 cards to each player.
Ten cards.
Yes. So then the first to go out, so we will start off with Drini, is by melding 11 cards. And melding is placing a valid combination of cards face up on the table in front of you. And the combinations that are allowed are a group of 3 or 4 cards of the same rank. Example,
So with all 4 or all 5?
Yes, all 6 in cubes, heart, diamonds. And or a run from 3 to 8 cards of the same suite in consecutive order. Yes, and ace is always low and 7 is next to the jack.
And if you don't have anything,
I will not miss. Do I have to also play the game or do I have to watch? I will watch Elodie.
and what do I do if I don't have any
Melding. Yeah, can you pick a card?
Wait, eh? A sequence cannot contain more than 8.
But if you don't have anything, if you don't have a combination,
Can you pick a card?
or
Let me watch.
Maybe change cards?
Yes, we will change. We can do a new time.
why? Things the top of here. This starts from top.
Yes. The player who has a turn, traditionally called the poon, takes the top card of the stockpile. So you have to take a card of the stockpile and place it in his or in your hand or his hand.
And then you have to throw a card. Or
Yes, and then the player must decide. The step after that is the player must decide to melt the card if possible, or to create a run or a group, or discard the card. You can also discard
from
it.
3 to 8 cards of the same.
But you have to pay attention to the card that was picked up may not be kept for future use. It must be melt or discard in the hand which it was picked up. So you get it? So first, the player who has the turn, so you, traditionally called the poon, takes the top of the card, yes, of the stockpile and place it in your hand. Then the player must decide, so you have to decide to melt the card if possible, or to create a run or a group, or you can discard the card.
And can I discard the other card from my deck or just only?
The card that was picked up may be kept, may not be kept for future use.
Okay.
It must be melt or discard in the hand. And then, no player may have more than 11 cards. Yes.
11.
Yes, you can't have more than 11 cards.
Okay.
And the next step is the card is discarded onto a new pile next to the stockpile. So you don't have to put it in this thing. And then, excuse me, the other player can decide to take this card. So you can decide to take this card what Drini just put here, or take a new card from the stock. So you can decide if you take this one or this. Yes, and it was a 7. And if the previously discarded card is not used, it must be turned face down on a waste pile. Yes, and cannot be accessed by either player. And so then it's your turn. And then you have to do the same. If you can decide if you melt the card if possible, or to create a new run, or discard the card, or you can.
Do I need to put it here?
I think on this one, but this cannot be on this one, but it has to be on this one.
This is my.
How long
I have
do
a
we need to
group.
play it?
Eh?
Yes.
This is a group.
Yes, we start to play it.
I went to.
And Drini wins because, we'll say it to the recording. So Drini won the game because he had a group of 3 from the same rank. Voilà, Drini won.
Now Steven. No. Steven. Dat is Steven. Which game do you have?
Can you sit over there? It's easier.
Oh.
Okay, the game, I'm going to tell you more about the game Tablet. Tablet was invented by the Vikings and comes originally from Lapland. In the 18th century, it was made public by the famous biologist called Drini. So, you have tablet is played on a square board, 9 times 9. There are two players. You have the white player who has a king and 8 guards surrounding the king, and the black player has 16 mercenaries. So you have the king here and 4 2 guards on each side, and you have 16 mercenaries on the border of the board. Okay. Then the game object. The game object is different from each player, so the white player must escort the king to any border space. For example, here, this is all possible. This, the king doesn't have to stand on this one. It can, but it can also have any border space. Okay. Okay. Everyone with me so far? Then the black player must capture the king to win the game. Then the movement. All the pieces move the same way. So the king moves the same way as a mercenary. There is no this is higher or this. Then a piece can move vertically or horizontally to any empty space.
One step at a time.
No, you can choose to any empty space. For example, this one stands here. I can move it vertically to here or to here because there is no object in my way. But I can move it horizontally only to here because there is an object in the way. And until here because there is also an object in the way. Okay. A piece cannot jump over another piece. Like I just showed, I cannot do this. This is not allowed. But there is only one piece can stand on one square. For example, this is not allowed. That's logic. Then the king stands on the throne in the beginning of the game, but when the king leaves the throne, no piece can move to the throne, nor the king himself. So if this happens, no piece can move to the throne, but a piece can move over the throne. For example, this, if there is an empty piece, they can move over the throne. Everyone with me?
Yes.
Okay. Then, each player can capture enemies, but the king cannot capture a single enemy. But how do you capture an enemy? You have to block the player horizontally or vertically. For example, if the black player captured this piece, this white piece, you have to block it horizontally or vertically. This is possible too. So this piece is captured or this is also captured. And then the piece will be removed of the board. The king cannot capture enemies like I just mentioned, but he can be captured because that is the objective of the game for the black player. But a king, you don't capture a king just horizontally or vertically. You have to capture him on 4 sides. This is an example, but there are other possibilities, like here. if the mercenaries run on 4 sides like I just showed, the king is be captured. But if a mercenary, if the king is standing here and the mercenary capture him here on 3 sides, the throne counts also as a 4 side. So the king is also captured, but only for the throne. And then the last possibility is if the king is standing here and the black player captures him on 3 sides, the border does also count as 4 sides. Everyone with me? Yes. Okay. Then to finish the game, they can either the white player escort the king to any border space, then the game is done, or the black player capture the king, then is the game also over.
And so the king has to be on border.
Yes, that's the
Win this
objective
game.
for the white player. But if a player cannot make a legal move, then the game is also over. So this is every information you need to play the game. Now we are going to play it, but there are only for 2 players, so I cannot.
Who begins?
The white player.
Good morning.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you must remember the king cannot capture.
And the king, if it stands here and the other players go on, it also can be taken out.
Yes.
Is the
Yes.
throne
No, no. It can also be taken at the throne. But now the black player can because you're surrounding him. If you don't remember anything, you can look or you can ask. It's a simple game, but it can be hard to win.
And if I do this, then these things. players or no?
No, you can only capture one player at once. You can move the king in this position only to here or
Does this also work with king then?
yes.
Gee.
You can go two, eh?
Yeah,
You could
you
have won.
have just one, you can move. Doesn't matter how matter you move, but if the way is clear,
Yes,
that's
you
you
won.
win.
Yay!
Okay, Steve, come sit here.
Okay,
Now we're gonna play.
is it still recording?
Yeah. Yes, it's still recording.
Okay.
So, hello everybody. Yeah, we're gonna play 9 Man's Morris. So the game rules are that you have 2 players and they each get 9 pawns. 9 black. One player gets the black one, and the other one gets the white. So 5, 9. Here you go. 9. Now, there are 24 dots, so you play one like this. Okay? So first you toss a coin to see who goes first. So, Elodie, heads or tails?
Head.
Tails. So Steven gets to begin.
I have a question. Can you move only where it's connected or can you move?
I'm going to explain that in a minute. Alright? So first what you gotta do is you put the pawns on the board one at a time. So one you, then one you.
And I can choose.
Yes, you can choose where. So, if you get 3 in a row like this, you get a mill. So then you can take one of her pawns and eat it. Like that. Then, captured pieces may not. So a captured piece it may not be used. Completing a mill allows a player to capture an opponent's piece.
So if he win a piece of me, he cannot
You
use.
cannot use it. No. If you get a mill, you cannot capture from his mill unless. So you have to capture one of his other, unless he doesn't have any other, because only these 3. Then you can take one. Once all your pieces are on the board, all the 18, you can take turn and move them like one at a time. Okay? A piece may not be moved along the lines to any check open spot. So if you're standing here, you cannot go like this. You have to go one at a time. A mill will make you go. So if you have a mill like this, you can go like this, and then the next turn back, and you can take one of her. Yeah. Then fly rule. If you only have 3 pieces left, and she has more, and you're like this, you can. And you're like this, you can start flying. So you can go like this, but only if you have 3 pieces left. Then you can move them wherever you want. You can win the game if you take almost all of them, and he only has two pawns left. Yes.
So I
Then
win the game.
if he has only 2 left, and that's it. Now we can start playing. So Steven, start. Choose a place. Yeah. Elodie. Steven. F.
Now I can take.
Now you can take one of his.
So I can
Now
take.
you can take one of his.
And now.
And now Steven can move like this
Yes.
to get him out.
Can I only follow the numbers?
You can also go like this, but only one.
Yes. So follow.
Follow
Will follow.
So I can take.
Now you can take one of his.
Oh.
Cannot.
No, not like that. Only if you have 3 pieces left. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. Now you can go like save. You can go wherever you want. back to here and never know. Now you can go with this one back here and take one of the pawns.
Now I have one.
You have one.
Real life.